Hi, everyone. Verl Workman here, CEO of Workman Success Systems, and welcome to another episode of the Faces of Real Estate. Our mission with the Faces of Real Estate is to find and identify and highlight the amazing agents and brokers in our real estate communities that are making a difference in the lives of the people they touch. And we have a tremendous opportunity to visit today with the one and only Trish Nash from, I want to say Las Vegas, Nevada, but that's a big area. Trish, welcome, and thanks for being part of the Faces of Real Estate today.
Thank you, Verl. Great
So,
to be here.
Well, I just have fun just every time we have an opportunity to chat. I want to let's start by telling everybody about who you are and a little bit about your business.
Okay, well, I am a broker and owner of Signature Gallery of Homes in Henderson, Nevada, a suburb of Las Vegas. We have a population of about 300,000. And my husband and I own the brokerage together. He specializes in commercial real estate, specifically charter schools. So he's very involved in the education system and is doing a tremendous job. I am on the residential side, and Verl and I met many years ago when I was as he calls, the queen of REO. I was doing a lot of REO business. And as we started to see business transition and the real estate market transition, I had to transition my business. And so I asked Verl if he would coach me, and started coaching with Verl, and we've been together since, and it's been an amazing experience. And so we have transitioned from REO, and quite frankly, without really focusing heavily on it. I've had focus, but now I'm actually dealing on the luxury side. So it was definitely a path that got me there, and some planning, but it's been great.
So this is just a curious question. When you were doing all the REOs, what was your average sale price?
The average sale price was about $225.
And what's your average sales price today?
About $750.
Wow. Now you're doing fewer transactions today, but are you earning more? Are you more successful today than you were when you were doing hundreds?
Absolutely. Yes.
Isn't that fun?
So last year we closed about 145 transactions. About 25% of that was, I would call it luxury. And luxury in this market is anything probably about 750 or higher. I mean, realistically, it could be, you might want to say it's over $1 million, but we are a much different market than, let's say, that Beverly Hills or LA
Right.
when it comes to luxury.
You don't get many of the 35 and $40 million properties.
No,
They exist.
I mean, we have them here, and quite frankly, I just don't feel that that's my wheelhouse. I feel that there's a specific area within Henderson that I focus on, and we typically don't find those homes. We do have a couple homes that are listed about $5 million right now in that community, but it's a much more harder sell and a longer marketing time. So I haven't really focused on those.
So you run your brokerage as a team. Tell us a little bit about your team.
So I about a year ago hired a sales manager. I felt it was very important for our team to have somebody that could guide them every day and really help them to be committed, and I cannot think of the word, but accountable. Accountable is really.
I'm going to just focus on them.
Yes. And so we're talking about community involvement, and that is a very important part of who I am. And one of the things that I found is that if I want to be involved in the community at the level that I'd really like to, that I can't be here all the time. And quite frankly, my community involvement has opened up doors for me business-wise, but that was not the reason why I initially have gotten involved in the community. But so we have a sales manager. I have a small team of 5 agents, and I have 1 listing partner. And that was something that was very hard for me to let go of, but with the continual recommendation and guidance and nudging of rural. I have a listing partner, and it's really changed things for me because it allows me to focus on the higher end listings, and then also be involved in some of the things that I'm doing within the community.
Yeah, Trish, I remember giving up buyers with you, and then having a conversation about giving up sellers, and watching you recede from the camera to say that's not happening. Now it's fun to see you grow. It's
Well,
fun to see
I
that
have
growth.
to say though, I've never been heavy with buyers, but the part that was hard for me to do was to let go of some of the buyers that I felt could only deal with me.
Right.
And I will tell you, I turned over a lead several months ago to one of our agents, and she closed a $3.5 million sale. And, I could have easily said, you know what, I've got to handle that. But I just felt it was important for me to trust, and she did a fabulous job.
Isn't that great? I love that. Well, tell her congratulations from me. So let's talk a little bit about your community and how you give back. What are some of the things that you do to make a difference? I mean, clearly the community has been good to you over the years.
Yes. Well, the first thing that I started doing when I first got involved in real estate was I became a member of the Henderson Chamber of Commerce. And that was back I became a member in 2004. And getting involved with the Chamber of Commerce has really helped me to understand our community and to get to know other business owners and other business leaders. And then I started volunteering within the organization. And actually now I'm the incoming chair for the Henderson Chamber of Commerce
Wow.
starting in July. So I'm excited about that. And through the Henderson Chamber, I got involved in what's called Leadership Henderson. And that was a program for a year where we meet once a month and we learn about all kinds of aspects of the city. And, that opened doors for me, learning the behind the scenes and who these people are and how things work. And it really created some relationships that I never would have had if I had not done that. And then I am also on a committee called, and I have to look at this because it's a mouthful, Comprehensive Plan Implementation Advisory Committee with the City of Henderson. And I've been on this committee for several years, probably about 4 years now. And I was appointed by our mayor. And this is, at the time she was a city councilwoman, but now she is our mayor. And it is a committee that we meet once a month and talk about and learn and vote on certain things regarding the planning of our city, the long-term and the short-term plans, from education to housing to parks and recreation. So what this is doing for me is it's giving back to the city. It's a volunteer position, but I'm also learning a lot about the city. And it's a great way for me as a real estate broker that lives and sells in Henderson to be able to educate other people about what's happening in the back end.
I think that's really cool, actually, because you get kind of the inside scoop on where growth is going to occur, and you can help position your people in there. I think it's really smart, actually, and plus you're giving back. I think that's really cool.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about Living Grace and how you came to get involved with them and what you do with that organization.
So Living Grace Homes, the way I got to know them is back in 2007, that was when they were founded. I was the founding president of the Women's Guild, a women's organization at my church. And this particular, the director, the executive director, the founder had contacted me asking if she could speak to the women. And so I asked a little bit about the organization, and it touched my heart. And she spoke, and I decided that that this was an organization that I wanted to help. But at the time, my involvement was only either monetary donations or donations of clothing or furniture. And Living Grace Homes is an organization based in Henderson that has 2 homes that help homeless young ladies that are pregnant between the ages of 14 and 24. And the average age is 18 and a half. And we have 2 homes, and they are actually in a residential area. And many of these women have not completed high school. So the idea is to help them get through the pregnancy. Many of them have been abandoned by either the father or their family members. And there typically is going to be some drugs involved. And so the idea is to help these women get on the right course, to get educated, to find a job, to find housing, and to get on their own 2 feet and raise the child that they have chosen to have instead of choosing to have an abortion.
Wow, they have a great example in you. They probably had no idea who they were bringing into the organization when they brought you in. Why'd that speak to you so much?
Well, so about a couple years ago, the executive director had asked me if I would be willing to be on the board. And, you know, I'm just involved in so many things. And so I really had to give it some thought. And I just decided that because it did speak to me, that I had to be part of this organization. And the reason it speaks to me is because I can relate with these young ladies and this is difficult for me to talk about, but, you know, part of the reason is because I have worked very hard in becoming the person that I am, and have learned the power of choices. And at the age of 17, I made a bad choice, and I ended up pregnant and chose to have an abortion. And that left a very, very deep emotional scar. And ends up, I don't have children, I couldn't have children. And so it left an even deeper scar because I felt that, you know, had I not done that, would I have been able to have children? At the time that I had it, abortions were not something, they had just become legal, but I had it in a back street place that, you know, I look back now and, you know, no one would even want to go and have any type of medical procedure there. So it was a very excruciating experience, very painful. And so I decided that it was important for me many years later to not keep it a secret, but to share this with others, because perhaps my story can help other people. And I know that there's a certain perception that people have of me. And so they asked me to be the keynote speaker for the last gala. And I have to tell you, I was very nervous because this gala, you know, we had about 350 people, and most of these people are powerful people. They, you know, CEOs of hospitals and, you know, high-level executives that are there to donate. And so here I am, there's people that know me and respect me and have a certain perception of me. And now I'm sharing the fact that, you know, I made a poor choice, but I had to remind myself I was 17, and, you know, I didn't go to my mom. I didn't know any better. And of course I would never have made that choice now. So my goal is to help other young ladies so they can get to the other side, because I'm going to read something here. And that is that this is some statistics, a little fact sheet that Living Grace Homes put together. But it says here that a Stanford study from the early 2000s found that young people who are not positively engaged in the community, such as work, school, church, are at statistically significant risks of spending the rest of their lives in need of public or community assistance. And I am very grateful that my mom was someone who was involved in the community. She was someone that volunteered. So I learned that from her at a very young age. And so I do believe that because of giving back, that it has helped me also become the person that I am today.
I love that you choose to give back to an organization that helps you heal from, you know, the life experiences that you have. I think that's really impactful.
Well, I have to share something very interesting. So I was very nervous at the gala, very nervous sharing my story. Um, but afterwards, I had people come to me that I never would have thought would do that. A couple of which who shared that they had gone through something similar. I had a young man, well, I mean, young, 40, okay, so he's younger than me, come to me, and he was carrying the guilt of choosing to allow his girlfriend when he was younger to have an abortion, and still carries that guilt. And so he found my words very helpful. And a couple people, executive level individuals who came to me and said, thank you for sharing your story. That was very impactful. Now, they never said, you know, I went through something, but I could tell that something had resonated within them because I had the courage to share my story. So, you know, if I can help others in some small way, and these young ladies, more importantly, these young ladies, but there's a lot of people out there that appear to have their act together, and I got to tell you, I'm one of them who walked around with internal scars, and so this has helped me heal.
So have some of the girls that have been on the fence or not knowing what they're going to do been impacted by your message? Do you feel like you saved some lives?
I have. I can tell you one story that specifically, but this was prior to being involved in Living Grace. There was a young lady who had made a decision she was going to have an abortion, and my pastor asked if I would speak with her, and I did. And this was many years ago. I was probably 28 years old, and she decided after I shared my story that she would keep the baby. And I found her through Facebook, and she has 3 beautiful children. And the initial child who she was thinking of aborting is doing very, very well, just graduated from college. And so it was just so wonderful to know that I was able to help her, and she's doing great as well.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That makes me happy inside. It just gives me joy to know that you know, you're making such a big difference. Are there other things that for this particular cause, there's some other things that you've done or that you do to give back? I know that your story, not like that's not enough, because it's so much to be vulnerable and authentic and share your story, but it sounds to me like you're more involved in that even.
Well, so I am the chair of the board, and so we get very involved in the marketing aspect and the vision and who we're going to target for fundraising. We have a very high level vision of phase 3, and phase 3 is going to be several acres of buildings that would house women, educate, and there's a lot of parts to it. But one of the things that we've done as a team is at Christmas time we adopt Living Grace, and we either get them the young ladies and their children gifts, but also when we have events. So for example, we have implemented in our office something called Artist Spotlight. And Artist Spotlight is we have a local artist feature their art in our office, and we keep
I love that.
We keep the art in here for a quarter, and then we have, this was pre-COVID, we have a little event here, and so the last one we had, it was Las Vegas night theme. So we rented a couple poker tables, and people would buy chips, and all the proceeds went to Living Grace Homes. And then we also had the executive director here with a couple of the young ladies that are currently at Living Grace Homes, and people had the opportunity to talk to them. And we had a little bowl, and people would donate money. And so that's been a way of having a fun event, but also doing some fundraising for the organization. And it gets our team involved.
I love that. So how does the team, what's the impact that you feel as a team culture when you do things like that?
Well, it helps them feel like they're part of something important. And it just so happens that all of our team members are females. So it certainly has a place in their heart.
I love that. We've got a lot of teams where they're heavily females, and when they hire men, the men just have a hard time keeping up with you hardworking ladies. It's a truth. I know my wife works a lot harder than I do. And it's kind of cool to see that in your business. So for someone who is thinking about giving back, or they want to make a difference in their community with their individual business or their family or their team, how would you recommend they start?
Well, I would first take a look at what really touches your heart. What are you interested in? And for example, maybe I just had a conversation a couple weeks ago with one of our agents. She wanted to get involved in things, and she loves birds. So there's a bird society. And I said, why don't you go and volunteer at the bird society? There's birds that people have abandoned, and I don't even know what they do at a bird society, but so I would find something that really is near and dear to your heart. If you're involved in a church, I'm sure there's things you could do at church, or just look within your community. What I did was I decided that I was going to be a pillar in the community and be very involved and know my community. And prior to that, I was very involved with our board of realtors, and I was on the board, and I did a lot of things with Women's Council of Realtors. But I always felt as though I really wanted to be involved in the community, and I felt guilty because I wanted to make a difference in the world of real estate, and I just felt I had to make a choice. And so I did, and I chose our community. And so I went and I went online and I looked at all the different organizations or different things, committees that they have, and I just started showing up to things. And our mayor continued to see me show up. And so I got to know her. And then next thing you knew, she had asked me if I would want to be on this particular committee. And then the next thing you know, she called me and asked me if I would help her find a house to buy. So that was not my intent in getting involved, but because she saw my level of commitment, that I think that did something to her and helped her see that, I would be a good person for her to work with. So that was a buyer I did not give away, I will tell you.
You kept the mayor. I love that. Well, Trish, I appreciate so much your passion and your giving spirit, and you're willing to be vulnerable and share your story with us today on the faces of real estate. And I have 100% confidence that your story is going to be played over and over and over again and shared with others, and you're going to make an impact on people that you never knew. You're going to continue to touch lives because of just this little bit of time you spent with us today. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Verl. Thank you for the opportunity, and thank you for reaching out to me and nudging me a little bit to do this.
For all of us at the Faces of Real Estate, if you've been touched by Trish's story today, or you know of someone who's making an impact in their own way in the community, please go to thefacesofrealestate.com, nominate them, and tell us a little bit about them and why they should be interviewed on the Faces of Real Estate. Trish, I wish you just everything you have a desire in your life to have. And I know that you'll continue to be blessed because you bless others. And so on behalf of Workman Success and the Faces of Real Estate, thank you for being part of our family.
Thank you, Verl. I appreciate you.